My name is Victoria Wu, and I will be a senior at Penn State in the upcoming fall semester. I recently had the privilege to study abroad in Sweden through the embedded program HPA 497. Initially, I had been very excited to go to Sweden because I had this very idealistic view of Scandinavian countries, and I really wanted to see what it was like for myself. My initial thoughts about Sweden were really just based off of TV and movie stereotypes, like most things, which I know isn't super great. However, the few classes that we took in the May semester actually really helped me flesh out what a good image of Sweden might be. And it was through these classes that we learned about the two ideas. One, jantelagen, which is loosely translated to the idea of humility and restraint, as well as lagom, which means everything in moderation. Jantelagen is basically de-emphasizing the individual, and it's really saying that no one person is better than the other. And I think this idea is deeply embedded in Swedish culture and was definitely seen through the companies that we visited. Through Husqvarna, which is an international commercial product manufacturer that originated in Sweden. And they produce things like lawnmowers, chainsaws, sewing machines, as well as they used to produce rifles and motorcycles. And this is a group of us standing outside of the Husqvarna building, as well as our tour guide in the orange. This is actually a lawnmower that Husqvarna produces. It's similar to a Roomba. You set it on the grass, it's self-propelling. It'll cut your grass for you, and it'll even beep and let you know if it's like stuck in a hole or something. Unfortunately, this won't work in the US because US grass is a bit too thick. Jantelagen can also be seen in the Swedish Board of Agriculture, as we typically met with one or two people at each company that we visited, and they gave us a little bit of time for Q&A, and we ended up asking them about power distances and if they felt comfortable talking to, higher ups. And they all seemed very casual about it. They said that it was totally possible for them to text a joke to the CEO or call them, and the CEO regularly stops in, and it's all very casual and it's a very friendly work environment. The idea of lagom was also very present within the companies and most clearly illustrated through work-life balance. For example, in maternity leave, Sweden is well known for having long maternity leaves, and not only that, but they also offer paternity leave and even encourage and incentivize both parents to take them at the same time because they want to emphasize co-parenting and a dual parent household. And this is wildly different from the US culture in that some maternity is often offered, but it's not that long and it's definitely not paid. And paternity leave is pretty uncommon. And not only that, but the hours worked are also pretty different. Like American jobs, even internships are typically from 8 a.m. and interns can be expected to work all the way up to 12 p.m. at night just to show that they're really trying hard and pulling their weight. But we noticed that, and through talking to the employees, they seemed like they got there at 8 o'clock, and then they went home at 5, 6 o'clock. We also noticed that shops tended to close super early as well, like they all closed within the window of 4 to 7 o'clock. And this is a shopping street that was found in Gothenburg that one of the university students actually took us to. We talked to one of the women who worked at the agriculture board about this, and she didn't seem too bothered by it. She said that she typically, after work, went grocery shopping, picked up her son, and then returned home for the rest of the evening because she wanted to spend time with her family and not go out, and she didn't find it necessary to shop at all hours. It's the idea that you don't necessarily have to spend all your time at work or out shopping. You should spend time with your family and your friends and doing things that matter to you. This little barn area is actually an example of side hobbies. Like, it's where this dance is held weekly. This these group of people actually get together and they do various dances like polka, salsa, waltzes, and it's really popular with the retirees and young couples, just for something to do, and it creates a strong sense of community. They really emphasize life outside of work. We encountered the dancing when we were on a hike led by one of the Yan Sherping faculty members, and she actually took time out of her own day to lead us up hiking through this ravine where we saw this really beautiful waterfall, and it just emphasized another cultural aspect that we of Sweden that we ran into was like they have really great hospitality. She took a lot of time out of her day to show us around, and even strangers that we ran into on the street were really sweet to us about directions and giving us suggestions of where to go. And I was really just impressed by the friendliness of their nature. Even the IKEA, and it's based on Sweden's love of candy, really. They are the number one consumer of candy in the world. And this is possibly because they literally have a dedicated day for children to get candy, which is Saturday. And they have a word for it, which I can't pronounce. But they also feature many different types of candy, not including Swedish fish. This is actually a picture of salted licorice, which is a common Swedish gummy, but it's apparently only beloved by Swedish people, as it's a very, very strong licorice flavor amplified by the salted crust on the outside. Another thing that I found interesting about Swedish culture was actually their bathrooms, as odd as it sounds. They actually don't have gendered bathrooms. They have one room with several smaller rooms inside of it. So instead of stalls, there are private rooms, which is in contrast with the US and all of its gender and bathroom problems. Overall, I think my Swedish study abroad made a bigger impact on me than I had initially thought. In the past few weeks since I've come back, I found myself referencing a lot of the things that I've experienced and learned in Sweden. Overall, the trip really broadened my views and helped me experience and think of alternative ways of living to what I'm used to. Bonus, we actually found that Penn State is everywhere. There was even a Penn State sweatshirt in a small Swedish thrift store.